Solar Weather Report December 2021 as of December 14th. This solar weather report will give a summary of terms that we've used this year to describe and understand the solar effects. In particular, we'll see how they affect radio communications. Like Voltaire said, if you want to converse with me, define your terms. Well, we'll follow his suggestion. Starting out with the first term is solar cycle. The solar cycle is a periodic and gradual change in solar activity which lasts 11 years and repeats. A solar cycle contains a maximum and a minimum in solar activity. We have records of solar cycles going back all the way to 1699, so they provide a great historical data set for the study of solar phenomena. Solar flux index, or SFI, is a measure of the magnitude of the radiation at a wavelength of 10.7 centimeters, which was discovered during the Second World War. In general, this index shows how active or calm the sun really is. Today, the SFI is 8.1. Smooth Sunspot Number, or SSN. The SSN is an index that quantifies the number of sunspots currently visible, which gives each sunspot region a value of 10, plus 1 for each individual sunspot. The total of those two terms gives you the total sunspot number. Today, the SSN is 40. That leads us to the geomagnetic field. This is on the Earth side, not so much on the Sun side anymore. The geomagnetic field is the magnetic field that is generated inside the Earth and extends out into space. The magnetic field lines meet the solar wind and deflect many of its charged particles. So, in a way, our geomagnetic field is a protective shield around the Earth. The geomagnetic field is also affected by the solar flares. K sub P planetary index. This is a curve derived from magnetometer readings, and those magnetometers are located at different places on the Earth, specifically Alaska, Canada, US, Germany, and Australia, although there are also contributing stations located in France and Korea. Now, global alerts are issued when the K sub P index reads from 4 to 9. Today, the K sub P is sitting at 1. Consulting our table, a K sub P index of 1 points to a geomagnetic field condition of quiet. A index. The A index is an average number derived from the K sub P indices in a period of 24 hours. The A index gives a daily measure of the geomagnetic field on Earth. Today, the A index reads 6. Consulting our table, the A index of 6 gives us geomagnetic field conditions of quiet. Aurora. Aurora borealis if in the northern hemisphere, or australis if in the southern hemisphere. Aurora is a phenomenon in the form of luminescence which appears in the night sky, generally in polar zones. It's produced when an injection of charged particles from the sun impacts the Earth's geomagnetic field. Magnetometer. Magnetometer is a device which measures the magnetic field or dipole magnetic moment. Some magnetometers measure direction, magnitude, or relative change of the local magnetic field. A compass is a simple magnetometer, for example. Solar flare. These are large eruptions of electromagnetic radiation that occur at the sun. They last from minutes to hours and arrive at Earth in about 8.2 minutes, since they're photons traveling at the speed of light. The most violent solar flares cause radio blackouts. Solar wind. The solar wind is a current of charged particles and magnetic fields that are liberated in the upper atmosphere of the sun, or solar corona. This plasma consists primarily of electrons, protons, and charged particles. Which leads us to plasma. Plasma is the so-called fourth state of matter. That's the state of matter beyond solid, liquid, and gaseous phases. It's composed of a mixture of charged particles such as electrons, protons, and ions. Coronal mass ejection, or CME. That's a cloud of charged particles and magnetic fields released into the solar wind. They arrive at Earth in 1 to 3 days, depending on the energy of the initial phenomenon. Coronal holes. Similar but different. Coronal holes are solar regions which appear dark in X-rays since they don't emit much radiation. These are large zones of the sun where the magnetic field is unipolar and opens up into interplanetary space. The ionosphere. The ionosphere is a set of layers in the Earth's atmosphere which are located 80 kilometers above the surface of the planet. They display high ionization caused by solar radiation and have major effects on radio propagation. Wave refraction. Wave refraction is an important concept. As a wavefront moves from medium 1 and enters medium 2, its velocity is reduced and starts to lag, sort of like when a marching band is marching and it makes a turn. With time, all wavefronts in medium 2 will have a different direction than they had in medium 1. Solar physics. The branch of astrophysics which specializes in the study of the sun. It makes detailed measurements of the sun and its surroundings. Solar physics encompasses and relates various disciplines such as pure physics, computation science, including fluid dynamics and plasma physics, which span magnetohydrodynamics, seismology, particle and atomic physics, nuclear physics, stellar evolution and space physics, spectroscopy, radiative transport of matter, applied optics, think of telescopes, signal processing, solar astronomy, and in general, stellar phenomena. So solar physics is a very, very broad field of study. In summary, our hobby is fascinating since it combines science and engineering, the theoretical and the practical, the local and the global. So let's resolve to get out on the air in 2022 and make contacts. Good luck, good contacts, and 7-3.